G'day and welcome to another episode of Kiwi Car Life. And believe it or not, it's been over a year since I first picked up my BMW M135i, the first turbocharged car I've ever bought. But as I'm trying to consolidate my fleet of cars down to just one vehicle, the time has come for my M135i to head off to a new home. But before it does, I'd like to take a moment to discuss my ownership experience with this car. What I've liked, what I haven't, and how much it's cost to keep this on the road for the last 11,000 Ks. I bought this car in June 2024 for just $12,000 from a dealer in New Plymouth. At the time, it was the cheapest one in the country, and myself and Angel did the 8-hour round trip to go and collect it. On the way home, I discovered that unlike my Honda Accord I had a few years ago, which managed to do 96 kilometers on just 0 kilometers of range, the BMW trip calculator is a little bit more accurate, and I ran out of fuel mere minutes after hitting 0 Ks of range, after Angel kindly donated her water bottle to use as a jerry can to get the M135i to the nearest petrol station. We finished the drive home and then took my mates for a drive, and at that point we discovered the first issue with the car. One of the taillight bulbs was dimmer than the other, and one of the number plate bulbs wasn't working, both common issues on these F21 series. Once I'd sorted out the dead bulbs round back, I then got the engine serviced for $200. I hit a massive pothole on State Highway 1 driving to Auckland earlier this year and had to get a replacement tyre for $300. I've had a couple of misfires which were just caused by dying coil packs, and the car is about due for another service and a warranty fitness before I sell it. But that's it. Really, no more than you'd expect from an ordinary car. So that takes care of the cost question. But what have I actually done in my M135i? Well, quite a lot actually. I've driven it all around the country, but namely to Auckland 3 times to film videos. The first time I filmed with 8 different cars, including a Celica GTS, a VQ37 swapped E46, an FD2 Civic Type R, and an Audi S4, and I bought a cheap manual BMW 130i that I bought back and on sold. The second time I filmed another 7 videos, including a B58 versus N55 comparison, an SDI Type RA, and a K20 swapped EG. I also bought back a Polo GTI that I restored on the channel a few months ago, and the third time I filmed some crazy fast cars like a turbo Golf R32, a tuned BMW 650i, Ferrari 458, Porsche 911 Turbo S, and all the while my humble M135i ate up thousands of kilometers on the open road. It overtook slow cars with ease, the boot was regularly loaded to the brim with all sorts of car parts, and it kept me comfortable with Bluetooth music, cruise control, and lovely heated seats. It even averages around 7.5 litres per 100k on the open road, which is not half bad given the performance that it delivers. There really has been a lot to love about this car. You'll struggle to find anything anywhere near as quick as this for the money. Soon after I picked it up, I clocked 0 to 100 in just 4.7 seconds, which put it third on my friend's 0 to 100 leaderboard, getting beaten only by an F10 M5 and an M235i, which was stage 1 tuned. This thing is a seriously nippy car, and it handles amazingly well too. Even despite the no-name brand tyres that this thing's got on it from the dealer, it still managed to put down a lap time on our local track Manfield, only a second off my significantly more powerful Lexus ISF. Although in fairness it definitely couldn't keep up with that E36 M3 race car that I compared it with in the video to show just how much faster race cars are than even pretty quick road cars like this. But what has to be one of the best things about this car is that it is the only modern hot hatchback to come with rear-wheel drive, and as a result the front end is just left to do the steering. It makes for a phenomenally fun driving experience, and the engine is paired with a simply sensational transmission that just does exactly what you want. So is there anything I don't particularly like about the M135? Well, the steering wheel's a little bit ugly, although they did fix that on the newer models. The steering feel is a little bit vague as well. I feel like it needs a spoiler at the back end like my old 130i to truly make it a great looking hatch. And this one has a few funny electrical gremlins too, like you have to push and then hold the starter button to get it to turn on. The reversing camera doesn't work, neither does the map, and it still aggressively notifies you don't have your Japanese toll card reader inserted with an obnoxious beep every time you turn it on. But other than those small niggles, I reckon the M135i has got to be one of the best cars I've ever owned. It's just modern enough where it has features and refinement, but just old enough where if you turn off traction control, it's fully off. There's no other electronic safety features to get in the way, and it still feels raw and somewhat engaging when you drive it. And the fact that you can have this sending its power to the rear wheels with 235 kilowatt and 450 newton meters of blistering performance in a car that looks great, it's comfortable, nice to drive, and costs barely more than 10 grand makes this the bargain of the century. Despite this car's brilliance though, if I could go back a year ago, I probably wouldn't have bought this car at all. I wouldn't have bought my E46 330i or E92 325i or even my Audi TT either, although this is the closest I've come to replacing a car that still holds a special place in my heart. When I bought this M135i, I thought it would do everything my old 130i did, just with more power, better fuel economy, better looks, and a lot more features. And it does do those things better than the old one, but it lacks the hydraulic steering, the manual transmission, the naturally aspirated engine, and the 1390 kilogram curb weight of the old one that just made it so much more engaging to drive. That 130i was the ultimate underdog car. It kept up with Yaris GRs, M3s, 370Zs, and i30Ns on track. And I only sold it to fund the manual conversion on my E46 M3, which even though I told myself that would be my forever car, it really was a terrible vehicle for my purposes. It was extremely thirsty, very impractical, expensive to insure, and far too nice to have 30,000 Ks of stone chipping open road driving piled onto it every single year. I need something cheap and cheerful, but still fun, and preferably with a manual transmission. I've had to go through 4 or 5 different cars, including this M135i, to finally settle on the TT, and even that is still not quite as sharp as my old 130i to drive, nor as practical. If I could go back, I'd still be driving that glorious manual 130i today, probably with 200,000 Ks on the clock. However, while I probably would have been a lot better off if I just kept my old 130i rather than trying to replace that perfect recipe for my driving style with a whole lot of other cars that never quite met the mark, I am nonetheless pleased that I got the chance to show you guys one of BMW's finest cars over the last year. However, the car market as a whole is really tough at the moment. Buying and selling cars and in turn making any money from that is proving to be extremely difficult. And so I have made the decision that this will be the last lot of cars that I restore here on the channel. Once they're all gone and I'm back to just my Audi TT, I'm going to focus on just making great videos. So you can look forward to restorations of all of these cars that you see before you. And with that, I will look forward to seeing you again next time.